Hey there, it's Martha, and if you're new, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. So this is my monthly check-in video. I like to record this at the beginning of the new month, and it's a bit of a retro on how did I do last month. So in this video, so it's become a monthly series, I do like to recap how am I doing with my wax goals. So I'll let you know with my numbers what I've been reading, because I love reading, and part of my goal this year was to find more balance so I can find more time to read. So I've been sharing the books I've been reading in this type of video. And then I usually do a little chit chat, kind of what I'm looking forward to in this next month, whether it's here on my channel or just in life in general. And then last year I used to do, I did a few of them. They were called Friday Faves. And I'd like to bring that back. So instead of it being Fridays, if there's a new favorite thing that I'm interested in or something I found that I thought you might like to hear about, and I have two this month. One is book related, one is not. Then I will chat about that there. If only some of these things sound appealing to you, hopefully not none of them, I will timestamp below so you can see like when I'm talking about wax, books, favorite things, and just chit chat. So if that sounds interesting to you, then stick around, and don't forget to give me a like or subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps other people find my channel, and YouTube is very finicky with their algorithms. So all of that stuff helps. So thumbs up, any interaction down below in chat is all super helpful. So thank you so much in advance. But let's get started with my wax numbers. So here we go. All right, I had to turn on the air just to get some airflow in here. It's pretty warm up here. So I'm going to start off with my wax numbers and then maybe talk a little bit about my no-buy plans for the future. But starting off with my numbers, well, let me backtrack. If you missed my April monthly check-in, or checking, that was, I think, at the beginning of May that I posted that video. April was not a good month. Mentally, I think emotionally, with wax, it was not a good month. May, I will say, has been a really good month. Complete opposite turnaround. But also in April, I adjusted my beginning of the year number because I found a lot more wax that my friend had given me. And I'm like, I really want to try to include like almost all of it, right? So my starting number at the beginning of this year is 1,073. I ended the month of April with 1,010. So 1,010 was already kind of going back up instead of down from previous month. I brought in 127 units. That's a lot. So I already then at that point, if you add 1,010 plus the 127, I'm over my starting point at the beginning of the year. So it gave me a number that I knew how much I needed to warm. And the reason why that number helps me is it does help me make some decisions. My units are 1, like I said. It doesn't matter if it's a sample or a loaf or whatever, 1 equals 1. And so I ended up emptying, I should say, out the door 69 units, which brought me to ending the month of May with 1,068. So just under the 1,073. And so I kind of play, and this is all mental games, right? I played around with like, maybe I should warm a couple samples because those are easy outs, right? I can probably cross off four units out of just samples alone in one day, because I really wanted to end below my starting number at the beginning of the year, and I just made it. And by that, it's not like I'm throwing wax away or you're not leaving things in. I'm not changing my behavior, but it may make me want to pick a smaller bar or a Scentsy bar, something that I can use up like and be one and done versus like a Rose Girls bag or starting a brand new Sassy Girl Aroma brittle, if that makes sense. And the other thing that I do is I track my ins on what I believe is coming in that month. So it's not what I ordered that month, it's what's coming in that month. And I did that I did that initially because when I was starting to when I wanted to film my wax collection, I could see physically what I had on hand and it wouldn't mess me up when I'm like, it says I should have, 39 and I'm only showing that I have 20, right? So it helped me to do the wax collection videos, which I'm still doing, by the way. And then also, if it's physically here and I know what that number is, I also see how much space, how much I'm using up versus, what's potentially coming down the line. But, that's kind of neither here nor there. It's just the way I do it. So that's why I will always, unless I do a no buy, I will usually have already some ins. Like in June, I already have, I think, like 29 number in my ins column for June, and it's June 1st, and I'm on a no buy, right? But that's why, because the roadshow pre-orders that are coming in this month, I've accounted for in the month of June. So hopefully that wasn't super rambly and complicated, but I think what might be interesting to know is like 127 units. I really didn't buy big hauls. So how did I end up with so much wax coming in May? Well, I'd say about 60% of it was friend mail. And I love friend mail. That is, I'm not complaining whatsoever. It's not a complaint. In fact, one of the things I've loved about friend mail is I'm able to try some new vendors that I've never tried before. And then I know, like, is this a vendor I want to add to the list for future? And so far, I feel like, at least on Cold Sniff, the answer is yes. On a lot of the friend mail that I've received, there's some really great vendors out there that I haven't tried. So anyway, friend mail was a big, big bulk of it. There was a number of samples in that. So again, with the quantity of one being just one, I could melt a lot of that quicker as well. But anyway, friend mail. Then my Britta's pre-order, which arrived this month, there was only like 7 things in there. So my pre-orders have been small. I did have a kind of one and done Scentsy club, and there was 11 or 12 Scentsy bars in that. I did win a giveaway, and I didn't record that because by the time I got an answer back if it was okay to record, I kind of put the stuff away. So there was a giveaway, and there was some Rose Girls and some other stuff. And then the Teddy Bees was the other bulk, right? If I had to bring this by percentages, friend mail and Teddy Bees probably made the bulk of that 127. And I went crazy during the RTS. No regrets, but I just know that, that was part of the 127. So for June, I'm already in a deficit because I have Noel's Farm Scents coming in June, Second and Spruce coming in June. I believe Lavender and Speckles and Second and Spruce might come in July instead of June, but I just stuck it in June just to be safe. And Lavender and Speckles, I believe, is coming in July. So I'm already kind of got those numbers in my future columns. So I ended the month of May with 1,068. It's the highest number I've ended with at the end of a month. So that brings me to what's next. A no buy June is what's next. No wax, no Scentsy, no vendor, nothing. That is my goal. I think I could do a month. I think I can do a month without buying. And even July, I don't know that I would buy. July will be more of a low buy because there is Scentsy Bring Back My Bar, and there are some bars that I do want to try. I mean, this happens twice a year. So, I'll just purchase some there, but it'll be low. It'll be a low buy. And then there'll be the Teddy Bees RTS. But since I did purchase a lot in the pre-order, and that I already have that in my spreadsheet, I don't foresee it being a big RTS in July. So that is kind of what I'm doing the next few months. Now, what does that mean for my channel? So what's interesting is, and so here's kind of like a psychological thing, I think, with YouTube is, one, I started my channel because I wanted a place to chat with other people who love wax and share what I'm purchasing, share what I'm smelling, all of those things, right? The reason you're probably watching this channel, reason I watch other channels is the same. When you have no hauls, that's like one less video. But at the same time, I'm sharing my journey. I'm sharing kind of my struggle on, like, I went crazy last year. I've been good this year. I've just got a lot of friend mail. And so I am where I'm at for a number of reasons, but I really want to get to a place where I can reset on some vendors that maybe I'm not planning on purchasing in the near future, or have been hit or miss for me, or I'm just not drawn to for whatever reason. And so I kind of want to reset in some cases and really want to do a low buy for the remainder of the year. There will be some exceptions. Teddy B is an exception, and the reason is she only does 3 pre-orders a year, and it's still fairly new to me. And she has, her catalog is crazy ridiculous, and I love her wax. So I kind of give that as a, like, I know I'm going to buy. And then I also have it curing for a year. So I haven't even melted a ton of it. So there's a lot of reasons why Teddy B falls into this exception bucket. And then Scentsy as well. I mean, I am a Scentsy consultant, so I will be buying Scentsy. Something I've done differently this year with Scentsy is there's so many LTOs. I can't keep up. I don't know who else can keep up. And I got myself last year almost the same thing in this hole where, like, there's constant, limited time offer scents. They're in 1 month, gone the next month. They seem to be very similar scents to things they've offered in the past. So I just decided, like, unless it's something that just sounds so intriguing to me and so different from what I have smelled already or have in my club, I'm not going to buy it. There's also that, like, I've never been a channel buy for the sake of buying, right? I think YouTube maybe makes me buy a little bit more, but honestly, no. I think it's more, it just makes me want to share more. I haven't really, I was going to purchase as much anyway, because I was still, especially last year and still part of this year, in discovery mode. I mean, I'm still fairly new if I compare myself to other people that have maybe been buying wax. And I'm not talking about being on YouTube, but buying wax for years and years. I didn't start buying wax until 2022. So there's still vendors I haven't tried, scents I haven't tried, blah, blah, blah. But going back to the no buy, low buy is, I don't want to have this much wax. I want to be able to be using it a little faster than I am, meaning like the turnaround time, right? I don't want to have, with the exception of Teddy B's, I don't want to be holding on to scents I bought from, Second and Spruce as an example, last winter for this winter. It's like, I'd like to use some things, or at least have a bulk of it be the new fresh stuff that I recently ordered, within the past few months. So what does that mean for my channel? It means that there may be different type of content. There may be more of this, I'm not hauling something, but I'm chatting about wax. I'm maybe doing a melting challenge. I'm maybe talking, about other things. I have perfumes I want to share. I've mentioned that before, warmers. So there'll be different type of content besides hauls. And I think there's a lot of us that are either on no buys because it's too hot in the summer to even, maybe you don't want wax shipping to you when it's, 100 degrees outside. Or you're also in the same position that I am, where you just feel like, I need to slow my roll, and watching haul videos is not helpful, right? It gives you FOMO as well. So needless to say, there might be a couple less videos from me, or they may be slightly different videos than hauls that I've had. And I think that's a good thing, right? Because there's just so much consumerism as it is, and that's not what I'm trying to do. It's just, I'm addicted to wax like a lot of people are. But that's kind of the future of the next few months. I will most likely try to do a low buy for the end of the year. Like, I have so much fall winter wax that I have no business buying more. And if I want to get to that point where I feel like I'm resetting with a lot of vendors, then I shouldn't be buying a whole lot, in the fall winter. I think basically there'll be small hauls, just as I've been doing throughout the year, of maybe new scents I've never tried before that are just absolutely calling my name. And most small vendors will only have 5 to 7 new scents. And I don't necessarily want all of them. So most of my hauls, I think, will be very similar to what I did with the roadshow, where maybe it's like 5 to 7 cents that I might, do a haul that they're new to me and that I'm interested in. So that went on too long. I'm sorry, but let me know what you're doing. Are you doing a no buy? Are you struggling the same way that I am? If you have other video ideas that aren't hauls that you'd like me to do besides the ones I already mentioned, let me know below. So anyway, that was the wax. And I don't know how long I've been talking, but maybe about 10 or so minutes on wax. So I'm moving on to books. And this is also going to take a little bit of time because I'm going to be better about giving you my synopsis. So this month I read 5 books and I DNF'd 1. So actually I started 6, finished 5 in the month of May. So let's get started with the first one that I read was The Collected Regrets of Clover. Okay, so I had to pause for a second and listen to my voice memo because I left, and I'm glad I'm doing this now. After I finish a book, I'm leaving myself a voice memo. So books that I read like 3 weeks ago, I can remember more about them to share for these videos. But I will read you the description of The Collected Regrets of Clover very quickly. So this is a book by Mickey Brammer, and it's a big-hearted and life-affirming debut about a death doula who in the caring of others at the end of their life has forgotten how to live her own life. And so that's just the synopsis, I guess, of that without giving too much away. So this does deal a lot with death. So if that is a trigger, or if anyone has recently died in your life, just know that. But it can also be maybe so even if that's the case, it might also be a really good book for you. It kind of depends on where you are in the grieving stage, because I think it's a beautiful book in a lot of ways. So basically, Clover, she's a death doula in New York City. And I think this book is for people. Let me read you kind of who it's for. It's an uplifting novel. So even though it deals with death, it's uplifting. It'll resonate with readers who appreciate stories about self-discovery, about the power of human connection, and the beauty of embracing life's complexities, making it perfect for fans of character-driven fiction and those who enjoy exploring the intricacies of human experience. So it's completely character driven. So if you like thrillers, plots, like I want this moving along, this is not a book for you. But I actually love this book. I ended up giving it a 4.0, and I gave it a 4 instead of a higher because it was a little slower moving for me. But the reason that I enjoy this book, even though it took me a little while to get into it, is I love the characters. I also love older characters that are very wise. Clover's not older, but she was brought up by her grandfather. So, and he's passed away. And so she's learning to kind of live without him. She hasn't changed her apartment. Everything's still there, just as if he was still around. And she has not really lived her life because she's living her life through all of these other people that she helps them as they pass on, right? After they've passed away. And I think she's just built this wall up because she's afraid of losing someone else who's close to her, even though her job is constantly about losing people. But anyway, you can kind of see what happens here without giving it too much away. She has a book that she keeps. It's called, it's like a diary of all of the people that she's helped pass on, of all of their regrets. You can imagine that as we get older and we're at that stage where we know we're dying, we're probably going to regret certain things, maybe how we spent our time, maybe, not following your dreams or your passions, whatever it is. So she's got a diary of all of these regrets. And needless to say, she meets new people. Slowly, she starts to let some new people in. And that's all I'm gonna say about the novel. But if that sounds appealing to you and you like character-driven books and you're okay reading about death, but it's done in a very uplifting, really beautiful way. So that's why I say could be good. it could be okay for someone who's still grieving, just because it's handled so delicately. And I think it's a really pretty perspective in some ways. So that is The Collected Regrets of Clover by Mickey Brammer. And I will put that book here. Hopefully I didn't forget like I did last month. Okay, the next book is Finlay, Donovan Jumps the Gun. All right, with Finlay Donovan, I don't think I left myself a voice memo. I didn't, because I remember this book quite a bit. I don't have that one either, so I'll try to remember to put it up here. But Finlay Donovan is a series, and this is book 3. So if you have not read Finlay Donovan, I think what's the first one? I forget what the first one's called. But if you haven't read the first Finlay Donovan from from Ellie Casamano, that's the author. I highly suggest you read that one if you like what I'm about to share about this book, because they're all the same kind of book. It's just a story that continues with these characters. And this is the third one. I would say if you haven't read this book, definitely start with the first one, not because you can't jump into this one and have this as a standalone, but because the first one's a better book, in my opinion. This is, to me, a good palate cleanser. I kind of enjoy these kind of funny, what's the word? It's like these, this duo that is just, you have to also kind of realize that what's the word I'm trying to use? You have to just put reality kind of in the back corner. I mean, this stuff doesn't happen, but it's kind of a fun, kooky, caper, cozy mystery type of story where Finlay Donovan and her sidekick Vero are getting into all kinds of mischief, and I just enjoy the characters. So it's just a kind of fun in between. I know I can read it really quick, and I enjoy visiting these characters. And it's like, okay, what kind of mess did they get into now? But this book, if this is a little synopsis here. So author and single mom Finlay Donovan have been in messes before. As again, this is the third book. After all, she's a pro at removing bloodstains for various unexpected reasons, but none quite like this. When Finlay and her nanny partner in crime, Vero, accidentally destroyed a luxury car that they had borrowed in the process of saving the life of her ex-husband, which was the previous book, the Russian mob did her a favor and bought the car for her. And now Finlay owes them. So, she just is finding herself in one mess after another. There is a hot cop in here. It's not, so there's a little romance in here, but it's like G. It's like rated, it's PG as far as that. I love her sidekick, Vero. So this is Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun by Ellie Casamano. It's a perfect fit for readers who crave a thrilling and humorous mystery that combines the coziness of a whodunit with the excitement of a fast-paced crime caper, and will delight fans of authors like Janet Ivanovich and Sofia Kinsella. So that kind of gives you a flavor of maybe who this book might be for and what kind of book it is. So you have to suspend reality, but it's just a fun book. And like I said, I can read it pretty quickly, and I enjoy Finlay Donovan. So I think there's definitely there might be 5 books now. There's definitely a 4th book. So I will see if I can read it this year. I don't tend to read series back to back, but there's an exception this month. So the next book that I read was The Maid. So The Maid is, you know what? I'll go get it because I have that book. Okay, I found my book. So The Maid. This is The Maid by Nita Prose. And this is also a book that there is a series. I just started reading the 2nd book in that series because the library, so that's when I make an exception. The library says, oh, the book's ready. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm reading that book. But the one I'm reading now is called The Mystery Guest. This one is just The Maid by Nita Prose. And I know there's another The Maid book by Frida something, I think, but different author, different cover. Now, it's Molly is the main character. Molly the maid is the main character, and she's neurodivergent. So she has trouble reading kind of facial expressions, social cues. She was bullied a lot as a kid. She was brought up by her grandmother. She, takes things literally. So when people use slang or just the way we talk, sometimes it just does not make sense to her. And but she's a great maid. She loves to clean. She loves her job. And there is a death in one of the suites or the hotel where she works. And she's the one who finds the dead body. And basically there's also some other characters in there. And unfortunately, because she is very trusting and she can't read what body language and social cues, it's just not the way her brain works. She's got great attention to detail and her brain is fantastic in other ways. But she's has the hots for Rodney, the bartender, and Rodney is not a good guy. And he uses her, and this you can tell early on, so I'm not giving anything away. Long story short, Molly is the main suspect of the murder of this client that happened in a hotel. So she, of course, doesn't know what to do. She recently lost her grandma who raised her. Her mother abandoned her when she was a kid. So it was just Molly and her grandmother. Her grandmother was also a maid. And so in the story, you're also hearing a lot of the grandma, like the voice of grandma in her head, because she remembers, well, Graham said this and Graham said that. And so her grandma's a character, even though her grandma's passed, right? Doesn't know who to trust. She's got a detective who doesn't really see that she's autistic. And so she's thinking, oh, she's acting weird, that kind of thing. And then Molly needs to basically figure out how to prove her innocence. And she does finally trust in someone that has always looked after her. And that's that story. So I would say this is another cozy mystery. And let me find the synopsis here. Okay, so this is basically, I think I pretty much told you what it is. So Gran died a few months ago, and she works at a hotel. So it's a clue-like locked room mystery and a heartwarming journey of the spirit. The Maid explores what it means to be the same as everyone else and yet entirely different. It reveals that all mysteries can be solved through connection to the human heart. So this is another, again, cozy mystery. I really enjoyed the characters that were good and were helpful to her. I really enjoyed. Of course, the ones that were not, did not enjoy, but that's, you got to have like villains in here. So The Maid by Nita Prose is a perfect fit for readers who delight in clever, character-driven mysteries with a touch of heart. If you are drawn to stories that explore themes of neurodiversity, human connection, and the power of community, all wrapped up in a thrilling whodunit that will keep them guessing until the very end. So I like stories with human connection. I like stories that have heart. And so for that reason, I did end up enjoying The Maid. I'm not consistent with giving star reviews because, one, I can't remember what I gave. So I think for future, I'll try to be consistent on who would I recommend this for, which I've been doing. But yes, I enjoyed this book a lot, and it was perfect for kind of what I was in the mood for. And I finished this pretty quickly. All right, the next book was my first DNF, so did not finish. This one is Now You See Us. And I was really bummed that I did not like this because I was looking forward to this book for a long time. I read her two previous books that I really enjoyed a lot. The first one I read years ago, and we were talking probably more than 5 years ago, was Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows. And I know that's a very interesting title. It's such a good book, a great sense of place, great sense of community. Plus there's a twist and a mystery in there. I think there was definitely a twist in there that I was not expecting that I really enjoyed, a little bit of a thriller piece to it. And then the second book, I don't remember the name of it, but it was about three sisters. They couldn't be more different. Their mom has passed away, and one of their mom's dying wish was for the three of them to go back to India, where her mom was, and go to like three or four different places for very specific reasons. And so it's also the sisters coming together, another one with great sense of place. I enjoy those characters a lot. So I had high hopes for this one. And so the author is Bali Kar Jaswal. Now, this author, I think on Goodreads, if I remember correctly, this actually has really great ratings. I just got to like 20% and it just wasn't grabbing me. And I have like a long list of books I want to get to this year. And I really don't DNF often. But I just felt like I'm not being called to read this book. I don't feel like picking it up. I don't feel like reading it. And so I did DNF it, even though, like I said, it's got a lot of great ratings on it. So here is a little bit more about, let me see if I can find this real quickly, of what that book, I'll give you a quick synopsis versus me just going on and on. But this book doesn't take place in India like her other two books. This one takes place in Singapore. I was also thinking there's going to be a little bit of like Crazy Rich Asians in here, because the characters, there's several of them, but they're housekeepers from the Philippines who go to Singapore, which I think is very common, to be maids for these rich families in Singapore. And there's a murder. Well, I never got to the murder. And like I said, 20% or might even been 30% in. I'm like, is this going to happen at any point? So for me, it was just too slow, but this is the description. The wealthy island nation of Singapore seems like an oasis of luxury and order, but it owes everything to the immigrant women who no one sees. Corazon, Donita, and Angel are Filipino domestic workers, part of the wave of women sent to Singapore to be cleaners, maids, and caregivers in its decadent homes. And then so it talks about those three characters. Then an explosive news story shatters Singapore's famous tranquility, sends a chill down the spine of every domestic worker. The three women don't know the accused well, but one of them was accused of murder, basically. A Filipino maid has been arrested for murdering her female employee. So, and then basically I think they get together to figure out like who actually did the murders, but I didn't get that far to see the murder. Who this is for. Now You See Us by Bali Karur, and hopefully, I know I said that wrong, Jaswal, is a gripping, I didn't think so, and thought-provoking mystery that will captivate readers who enjoy complex, suspenseful stories that explore themes of feminism, social justice, and the hidden lives of domestic workers, making it a perfect fit for fans of authors like Tara French and Laura Lippman. These particular characters, very different from her other characters, didn't grab me. One was like younger and just kind of bratty, so anyway, that was Now You See Us, but maybe it's for somebody. That's why I bring it up. Okay. Fourth Wing. This, I will say, probably my favorite book of the month that I read, and I read some really good ones. The Fourth Wing, this came out last summer. It's been everywhere, I think. So a lot of people have probably heard of this one. It is a fantasy. It is a thick book. They usually are. I mean, it's close. It's over 500 pages. I listened to this one actually. What I like to do is get the audio and then the book, and then I can read a little bit at night. And then when I'm driving, doing things around the house, I can listen to the audio. I'll stop at a chapter and then I'll find it in the book. That's how I like to do things, which is why I have books and audio as well. But fantastic. I don't know what else to say. Let me just read you the synopsis so I don't ramble on and on. But it was as good as I hoped it would be, and really enjoyed it. So The Fourth Wing is by Rebecca Yarros. So it's a story of Violet, and Violet Sorengale is supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, and she doesn't. Instead, she ends up going to be a dragon rider. And there is a little bit of not Hunger Games, but yes, kind of, in the sense that like she has to get to become a dragon rider. It's almost like a boot camp that she needs to go through, and like kids are dying left and right. It's not easy. And she also so Violet, the main character, also has very brittle bones. I mean, everything about her is like she shouldn't survive these quests and things that she's doing to become a dragon rider, because of her brittle bones, but hence she does. I'm not giving anything away there. But so let me get to the description here. So let's see. So basically, her mom's a commanding general, also known as a tough as Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the 100 of candidates striving to become the elite of Navari dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. Well, long story short, she does bond with a dragon, two dragons, so to speak. And so this has a lot of adventure to it. There is a love interest to it, so it's got a little romance. I'd say this is an open door romance. So if you like some sexy scenes, it's definitely got that. There's stories of friendship, lovers, enemies, and then you've got these awesome dragons in there. So I really enjoyed this. This was fast paced. I didn't want to set this down. I just wanted to continue to read and listen to this book. So my favorite of the ones I read. So who's this fourth? So Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros is a thrilling and romantic adventure that will captivate fans of fantasy and romance, particularly those who enjoy enemies to lovers tropes, dragon riders, and a college setting as it whisks readers away to a world of magic, danger, and self-discovery. So that is all I'm going to say. I am going to read the next one. There is this is a series. Again, I normally don't do that, but I'm pretty excited about reading the next one. Although I have heard from a mix of people that this one is a better book than the second one. Usually that's the way it goes, but highly enjoyed this one. This is The Fourth Wing. So if you're into fantasy and that kind of stuff, you would enjoy that. Like, if you like A Court of Thorn and Roses, that type of book, I think you know what I'm talking about. Okay, and then last but not least is The Framed Women of Ardemore House. This is by Brandy Shalas. So I heard about this book through one of the podcasts I listened to, which was The Front Porch. The Front Porch, there is, I think when they do new releases or what they're reading, I think once a month they bring on other booksellers. So The Front Porch is, what's the name of the book? Bookstore. It's a bookstore in Thomasville. It's not coming to me right now. But anyway, there's different sellers on there. So they're kind of hand selling certain books that they read. I vibe a lot with Olivia, who likes mysteries. So she described this and made it sound so great. The Framed Women of Ardemore House. So I was excited to read this. It was okay for me. That one was a cozy mystery. So again, I don't know. Maybe it was just too many cozy mysteries in 1 month. But it was fine. Like I read it in 2 days. So it grabbed me. I'm not saying it was a bad one. I think I had higher expectations based on like how she sold it to me when I was listening to the podcast. But this is an abandonment English manor, a peculiar missing portrait, a cozy, deviously clever murder mystery, perfect fans of Richard Osman, who I really like, and Anthony Horowitz. So Joe Jones has already had a little trouble fitting in. Another neurodivergent character, like Molly. So she's also on the spectrum. She's hyperlexic. She's a hyperlexic book editor and divorced New Yorker, transplanted to the English countryside. So what I did like about this book was I do like books set in England and that countryside. I did enjoy the characters in this book. There is a murder mystery. Basically, it's happening. So the groundskeeper, Sid, has been found dead in the cottage that she just inherited. So, of course, she is kind of a suspect, but then it's not. And Jo, again, her gift of kind of, details and reading books and just knowing so much information is also helping the detectives figure out what happened to Sid. So that, I think, is all you need to know. I think the reason I was maybe a little disappointed, like the mystery itself, I enjoyed. I enjoyed the characters, read through it fast, like I said. I was hoping there was more to the framed portrait that she finds. It almost seemed like there was this other historical story, like going, that was a thread in this mystery, but I don't know, like it kind of didn't really go anywhere. I was hoping there was more of this kind of back and forth between maybe the past. There was a little bit of it, but I was expecting maybe some other like haunting kind of a gothic thing or something. I don't know. But who is this for? So The Framed Woman of Ardemore House by Brandy Shalas is a perfect fit for readers who delight in clever, cozy mysteries with a dash of British charm. I would agree with all that. And are eager to follow the adventures of a neurodivergent protagonist as she unravels a web of secrets and lies in a quaint English countryside setting. So all that to say, I think I gave this like a 3.5 stars. So I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a quick read for me, but I think I had higher hopes. So those were a lot of books. I'm sorry. Those were all the books that I read in May. I'm going to share a stack here. Ooh. So these are books that I want to read in the near future. They're from Book of the Month, and I've accumulated quite a number of them, and this isn't all of them, but this is kind of like my let's read real soon stack. And my daughter and I, my oldest, Danny, and I, in fact, she texted me today. She's like, I picked this book for June. So we try to pick different books. And then I have a stack, very similar stack for her when I see her next. So she can read and take to her friends. And they all like to read their books that I finish. So I have a lot of reading that I want to continue to do. So those were the books. All right. So now, what's the fun favorite thing that I found? A couple of things. The one that's book related is that I think I'd heard of this a long time ago, but I didn't really look into it and then I forgot. But I do have Spotify Premium. And I know I'd heard, I think a while ago that they had done audiobooks, but I kind of didn't think that they had audiobooks that like I'm interested in. So I went and looked. I again saw on a podcast that I listened to several book podcasts. I think on one of them mentioned Spotify plus audiobooks. And I was like, I should go look because I have Spotify. Well, sure enough, one of the first things I see is Funny Story from Emily Henry. And I love Emily Henry. I've read all her books so far, except for the latest one, Funny Story. And I just bought the book from Audible. And I'm like, well, wait, seriously? Like, I have this for free? So I returned the book from Audible because I literally just bought it maybe 2 weeks ago with a credit. And so I now have that book. So it's just like a heads up. If you like to read or read audiobooks and you have Spotify, there's some books in there. I'm also currently reading Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. And that audiobook is in there. So I have the book from Book of the Month. So I have the physical book and now I have the audiobook. And I like that. As I said, I like to be able to listen and then sometimes actually read and hold the book in my hand. And sometimes if I'm really tired, just having it read to me is also really nice. So if you have Spotify and you haven't looked up that feature and you like audiobooks, there could be some these are both very popular books that were on the bestseller list that are in Spotify. So those are just the first two that I found. There's others. I also use a subscription service called Everbrand, I think it is. Everbrand. They changed their name. They used to be Scribd. So it's Everand. Everand is a subscription service where I get a lot of my audiobooks. That's where I got Collected Regrets of Clover. That's where I read Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing was on there. So even though I had the book from the library, that's where I read that. And it's like, I don't know, it's like $8 a month, I think. And I can, whatever's there. And they have a lot of books. So I do like using that service as well. And then I have Audible and I have credits on Audible and I use that. And of course I use Libby from my library. So free books through Libby as well. So I use a combination of things to read and get books, and those are just some of them. But the Spotify one was like, oh, didn't see that. I should look at that more often. Okay, and then last but not least, sorry if you're still with me. I don't know, throw me a heart down below in the chat if you're still with me here, almost to the end. My kind of favorite thing that I want to share is this company called Loop. So I don't know, can you see that? There's a little metallic thing. So here's the case. There's a little case. It's very small, like really, really small. And inside are these little like earplugs, it looks like. I got my ones for sleeping are in mint, come in different colors. This is the loop, basically. You stick it in your ear, you know, in this, and then they're easy to pull out. This is called Quiet, I believe. So I use this now, now that it's summertime and I don't always want to have the AC on all night long. Or sometimes it's just not that hot where I want the AC going all night. But if I open the windows, it's nice. Because I live on a busier street, there could be a lot of car traffic noise. And so I've started using Quiet. Put them in. They're comfortable. I could still hear noise. It's not like it's like I can't hear anything. But I don't hear like my fan going. I really mutes and mutes down a lot of sound. And so that is Quiet. This other one that I have not used yet that is still in this box, this one is called Engage. So I'll tell you next month how this goes. Engage is great for if you are, let's say, at a very loud restaurant where there's a lot of background noise, like the acoustic isn't conducive for like this one-on-one conversation, or where you have someone right in front of you, but I mean, all you're hearing is this background noise. And so Engage is supposed to help you really focus in on the voice of the person talking in front of you or next to you versus, and kind of mutes out that a lot of the background noise. So I don't think it makes it like zero, but I think it really, tones it down so you can actually hear the person that's talking to you. So I got the Engage for Doug because he has trouble when we do go to restaurants. He's like, I can't hear anything. All I hear is everyone else. We should have used it at a baseball game because there was two couples behind us through the entire baseball game, starting when they got there, like in the fourth inning, to the end where they were nonstop talking. And it was an exciting game. It wasn't like it was a boring game. I mean, there was home runs, there was runs being scored. And it's like, if you're going to talk the entire time, why aren't you at a bar? Why did you pay tickets to watch the game? Because you're not even paying attention. And all I hear is your entire work week and everything that's been going on, because it was like coming straight into my ear. And we both said we should have brought our Engage so we can listen to what we want to focus on. So I bought a pair for myself for work. I get very distracted easily with people talking, and at work, we're an open space now. I used to miss my office so badly. I miss my office, but we are an open space. And so I usually go find a quiet corner to sit in, but that's not always good. If, the people I work with never see me, or my employees never see me because I'm like hiding in a corner, because that's where I can focus. If I sit more in kind of the bigger spaces, I will get distracted. And sometimes people are loud in there and they're laughing and talking. So I bought a pair for myself to see if I can tone down some of that noise. I think it's also really good for if you do have folks that are very sensitive, or kids that are very sensitive to sound. I think these are used by neurodivergent folks as well. That I have a friend who, her daughter, loud noise. She'll wear headphones because it bothers her ears. So there's another one. So Quiet could be good for her. Engage could be good. And then there's another one, like a third level up, called Experience. And that is for concerts and things. So you can really hear the music, but not like all the other stuff. So I don't have that one. I don't know. I haven't tried Engage yet. I don't know, but I'll give you a update next month because I plan to use it this month at work and see if I can maybe hang out in the bigger room and be able to focus on work and still be able to hear people, but not like all the noise. So that is Loop. I want to say are they Norwegian or Swedish? Scandinavian, I think, company, but they do sell in the US, and it's called Loop. So Loop is the company, and they come with 3 sizes for your ear, like, this part. So if you have extra small, it goes actually 4. Extra small, small, medium, and large. The medium fits me fine. So you can change the size there. And I don't know, thought it was a cool idea, and they're not that expensive. And I also had a 10% off code that I used. So anyway, that was Loop. That was it feels like I've been talking forever, but maybe it's not that long. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is your monthly check-in, my monthly check-in. And I just kind of like to share random stuff during these videos. But if you missed April, I will put it up here on April's month. And I should start a playlist maybe of these monthly check-ins. But anyway, thank you so much. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing or liking this video. It really helps other people find my channel, and it means a lot to me too. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.